Hello, welcome to today's The Word in a Flash. I'm Dr. Freddie B. Wilson. Today's subject is Stay in God's Will. I'm here to tell you that if you stay in God's will and trust Him, you don't have to be concerned about your future. God will never leave you alone. Allow me to share a story with you. At the beginning of the year 2013, my organization went through reorganization. That meant they were going to bring someone down to our unit that would be in charge of a whole area. And unfortunately, there was only a few slots available, and they had to move one of us. I had been there the longest, so it was decided that I had to move. Before that happened, I did ask for a certain location that I'd be willing to relocate to, because at the time, that was the longest I had ever been in a location, because I had been there for 6.5 years. So I just got concerned because I thought I was there to the end of time till I retired, but that wasn't about to happen. And I prayed about it because I was really concerned about having to move. Well, the next thing I know, they told me that I'd be coming to Tampa, and it would have been a blessing because I was going to be in charge of the unit, and it's going to be one of the locations that I said that I wouldn't mind going to if I had to move. So that in itself was a blessing. One of my biggest concerns was that God had blessed us with a nice home in Fayetteville. We had plenty of room, plenty of space, and a nice lot it was on. So I said I didn't want to go through that again and having to find another home because it was a blessing getting the one I was living in there. So I prayed what to do. And eventually, because my wife had a good paying job, our girls were ending their senior year in high school, their junior year, going to their senior year, and we didn't want to upset that so they can graduate with people they knew. So we decided that I was going to go down to Florida by myself at first until we decided how we're going to bring the rest of the family with us. Then I became concerned with, Lord, if you send me down there, which I began to feel that He was sending me there as a blessing, how am I going to sell the house we have in Fayetteville to buy another house in Tampa? I didn't have that kind of money to do that, nor did I think I had the ability to make that kind of move at that time. But I had to have some reflection. Ty Tribbett, in one of Ty Tribbett's songs, he sings it. He says that if he did it before, he'll do it again. I had to realize that this is so true. So I had to stop worrying about how I'm going to live my future, how we're going to do things in the future, and just trust God to make a way for us. I also had to think back to the fact that most of us Christians will say, Lord, wherever you want me to go, send me. But then when God decides to send you somewhere, you start wondering what's going on. Say, oh, Lord, why? Why me? What's going on? You need to be sincere in your pledge to God that wherever you want me to go, I'll send you, because when He does, you shouldn't be too surprised by that. One thing I did learn in this process is that whenever God bless you with something nice, you don't necessarily have to cling to it. You let God guide you, because believe it or not, God can bless you with something better. Deuteronomy 28:13-14 reads, If you listen to these commands of the Lord your God that I am giving you today, and if you carefully obey them, the Lord will make you the head and not the tail, and you will always be on top and never at the bottom. You must not turn away from any of the commands I am giving you today, nor follow other gods and worship them. When you follow in God's will, remember not to operate on your own understanding and go beyond the purpose of what God is doing through you. Don't do anything unless God guides you to do it. We sometimes try to be like God and do nice things thinking it would impress God. But if it's not in God's will, you've done it for nothing. This is why it's so important to have a personal relationship with God, so you know when He's guiding you. In the Bible, the Lord rejected Saul when Saul was doing things on his own, thinking it would please God. 1 Samuel 15:20-23 reads, But I did obey the Lord, Saul insisted. I carried out the mission He gave me. I brought back King Agag, but I destroyed everyone else. Then my troops brought in the best of the sheep, goat, cattle, and plunder to sacrifice to the Lord your God in Gilgal. But Samuel replied, what is more pleasing to the Lord, your burnt offerings and sacrifices, or your obedience to his voice? Listen, obedience is better than sacrifice, and submission is better than offering the fat of rams. Rebellion is as sinful as witchcraft, and stubbornness as bad as worshiping idols. So because you have rejected the command of the Lord, he has rejected you as king. You must be willing to do as the Lord would have you do. Start by asking God to lead you in your next step or move that you're about to partake in. I briefly mentioned earlier about my dilemma in 2013 when I was about to move to Tampa. I didn't get to go into the story about in 2006 how we were blessed in the house to begin with. What was even more surprising about getting that house, I wasn't even in the market to buy the house at the time. Long story short, late 2005, my mom, we were living in Virginia. My mom was getting sick in Georgia. I came down to visit with my brother, and one of the times while my mom's still alive, I was getting ready to head back to Virginia, and I saw this house being built. I didn't understand why God led me to go see the house. Through God guided me, he blessed us to buy that house, even though I didn't understand why. The why came later. The point being that God put me to something, I obeyed, and was blessed with a nice home there in Fayetteville, Georgia. On my drive back to Virginia, I found out why God put me in the market to buy a house. I received a call from my command, let me know they were deploying me to Afghanistan. God knew that my wife, the only reason she was in Virginia was because I was there. Had I deployed to Afghanistan while she was still in Virginia, she probably would have left. So God knew better than what I knew. So when I put in the contract to buy that house in 2005, my intention was to get a house big enough for my family and to be able for my mom to move in with us when she got out of the hospital. Unfortunately, by the time we bought the house, my mom had passed away. But I was on my way home anyway, and God worked a miracle to get me to get an assignment back to Georgia, and the blessings just continued to flow. We went through a lot of mess when we tried to sell our house in Virginia. The developer had 3 or 4 brand new houses, just equal sizes as ours, being built in a neighborhood that someone could have bought. But through a lot of trial and tribulation, a lot of offers back and forth, God blessed us with a buyer who paid us the asking price, and we were able to sell the house in Virginia. And much contrary to what people, the experts and whatever, told me about what was going to happen with that house. So God once again stepped in and made a way for us because I was staying in his will. Psalms 143, 8 through 10 reads, let me hear of your unfailing love each morning, for I am trusting you. Show me where to walk, for I give myself to you. Rescue me from my enemies, Lord. I run to you to hide me. Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. May your gracious spirit lead me forward on a firm footing. The blessings continued during and after that event that happened in Virginia. The problem was, in order for me to buy the house in Georgia, I needed equity from the house that we were selling in Virginia. Unfortunately, by the time it was due to close on the new house, the old house had not sold. We didn't know what to do. I prayed with my family as to how we should go about this, and Lord provided us an answer. We wound up getting a first and second mortgage at a higher interest rate for the house that I knew that we'll do it this way, but God showed me. And I said, if this is God, we'll never make a payment on that high interest mortgage while we're waiting to sell that house. And as it would happen, we sold the house before the first payment was due on the higher interest mortgage, and we were able to establish a new mortgage with a decent interest. God is so good, and he stepped in right on time. I forgot to mention that in the midst of all this, I was getting ready to deploy to Afghanistan, and God knew I had deadlines to meet before I left, and everything stepped in right before I left. So the next blessing came. After I was serving honorably in Afghanistan, I had to move back, and I was still assigned in Virginia. My commander enabled me to make that move because they gave me an assignment to Georgia, and the government paid for my move, even though we had already did it. So they paid after the fact for me to move to Georgia, and I had an assignment to join my family in Atlanta. It was such a blessing, and no one saw that coming. But God makes possible things that once thought impossible. On top of that, the extra money I made while serving in Afghanistan helped us do things around the house that we needed to do, like completing and finishing the basement. Isn't God amazing? And this was all because of my being obedient to dealing with the things that God put before me, and my not panicking and freaking out about what was before me, and having the trust and faith in God that He will make a way, because I knew that if I follow His will, everything's going to be okay, even though I didn't see it at first. Staying in God's will and listening to His instructions is always the best thing for your life, and you never have to worry about your future. Be blessed. Hey, as a reminder, I need your support in purchasing some of my books. The titles are The Power of Christian Friendship, Fact Is, Truth Is, The Blessings of Obedience, and Empowered by Wisdom. Each of these titles are available at Amazon or through me. Thank you.